Hey guys, it's Oleg. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be finally fixing my wife's 2017 BMW 328 diesel. It's all-wheel drive, and we're going to be installing this knuckle and wheel bearing assembly. Let's get started. I guess you can say typical BMW, but here are the lights we're having, and it's all due to a rear wheel speed sensor. I've already changed out sensor twice, so no change. We're gonna get this thing warmed up quick. It's a 328 diesel. It gets about 40 miles per gallon actually. We've put on over 50,000 miles on it with no issues whatsoever. This has kind of been our first hiccup with it. To install the knuckle and the wheel bearing, we're gonna need a new axle nut, so I'm gonna go ahead and grab that from the BMW shop. Enzo, sit. Stay. Stay. Good boy. Let's see if this guy stays. He's usually pretty good. All right, he's probably gonna get scared of the garage closing, but let's see. Good boy, stay. All right, I think this time, third time's the charm. So I got all these lights on it, but it drives great, no issues. And I've had somebody say already that they've changed a knuckle like that. They've had ABS issues, and they've changed a knuckle and the wheel bearing, and it fixed the problem. So hopefully that'll fix the problem. If it's not the knuckle, then it's going to be the ABS control module, and that's going to be a pretty penny. To get all that new and reprogrammed, it's about 2,000 bucks. 20 bucks later, we got ourselves an axle nut. We're on our way home. Also, I scheduled a service appointment for the BMW, and they're saying it's going to be 550 bucks for diagnostic. I have this light on for my EGR, and basically that BMW did a recall service, and I'm hoping that that EGR code is related to that recall, and it's going to be free. So we'll see about that. I'll keep you guys posted on that. But for now, let's get home and let's get this knuckle repaired. I gotta get real close to the Mercedes, give myself maximum room here. How to remove the rear driver's side wheel knuckle on a 2017 BMW 328 D-Wagon. Let's get started. Oh, and if you enjoy the sweet sound of struggling with rusted bolts, you're in for a treat. Make sure your car is parked on a level surface, chock the front wheels to prevent movement, jack up the rear, and secure it on jack stands. Remove the wheel using a 17mm socket and set it aside. Now let's get to work. Start by taking off the brake caliper using a 16mm socket. There are 2 bolts securing it to the knuckle. Once loose, hang the caliper with a bungee cord to avoid stressing the brake line, because nobody wants to replace those unnecessarily. Now remove the brake rotor. If it's stuck, it's probably because of rust. Give it a few careful taps with a hammer to break the rust free and get it off. Then progressively lose your patience and start wailing on it like it owes you money. If it still doesn't want to budge, well, time to show who's boss with a bigger hammer. Now we need to disconnect the control arms and suspension links. Start with the lower control arm by removing its bolt using an 18mm wrench socket. Then move on to the upper control arm using a 16mm socket. If these bolts aren't rusted, hit them with some penetrating oil and let it soak. Or if you enjoy suffering, just try muscling through. Your choice. If they are really stubborn, grab a breaker bar for extra leverage. Speaking of breaker bars, let's take a moment to appreciate them. These life-saving tools make us feel like we're superheroes, giving us super strength when reality says otherwise. Also, BMW owners know, if you're working on one of these cars, you need caffeine, patience, and maybe even a support group. And let's talk about those bolts for a second. BMW must have a secret contest among engineers to see who can make fasteners the most inconvenient to reach. Seriously, some of these required circus-level flexibility.
Yeah, dude. And that's actually working, you know. Well, it's a it's not a torque wrench anymore.
Next, we'll remove the axle from the hub. Start by loosening the axle nut using a 36mm socket. Might be tight, so use a breaker bar or impact gun. If that doesn't work, say a few kind words to your car, maybe try rubbing it. Once loose, push the axle inward. If it's stuck, give it a few taps with a rubber mallet. But if your axle is stubborn, as mine was, you need a combination of heat, a puller, some careful hammering to get it free. Be patient because this part can be a real pain. BMW engineers must have had a meeting and decided, let's make sure this axle never wants to come out ever. If you're doing this in your driveway, get ready for a workout. This might be a good time to check how much new axles cost online, just in case.
Alright, so this is what broke. This little bolt I have. That little bolt is attached into this hole here. I'm gonna get a bigger bolt.
Looks like we are making some progress on the axle. I think it started to move a little bit, so this tool here, definitely handy. Now it's time to remove the knuckle itself. Remove the last bolt holding the strut to the knuckle using an 18mm socket. Check that all components are disconnected. Control arms, axle, and suspension links. At this point, the knuckle should be free. If it's stuck, wiggle it and use a pry bar if needed. A little more persuasion and it'll come off. Carefully remove it from the vehicle. If at any point you feel like giving up, just remember, mechanics charge you an arm and a leg to do this, so powering through it means you're saving big bucks. And hey, with all that sweating, it's basically a free workout. And there you have it. The rear driver's side knuckle is completely removed. Whether you're replacing bushings, bearings, or swapping the whole assembly, this method will save you time and effort. Alright, so it's been a couple days since that last clip. I went ahead and reinstalled everything. Things usually don't go as smooth as they need to go, and this is one of those cases. The knuckle I ordered was a used knuckle. Turns out that that bearing is bad and it's shot, having some sort of vibration when driving at high speeds. And then I took everything back apart and found out that my axle was leaking. So I ordered a new part there. Since the bearing is bad on this knuckle, the sensor wasn't able to read. So all my codes are still on. Last night I ordered all the parts I need, so they should be coming in about a week. This thing is unfortunately gonna be out of service. So my wife is gonna be driving the Land Rover right now. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you guys part 2.